Is it so slow? Okay, perfect. We're live. We're live. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Out of My Shell or Back to Out of My Shell. And of course, I am Coach Michelle Jackson, and I am here tonight on this October, I think it's the 21st.
It is.
Beautiful, wonderful fall Thursday evening. I'm here again with our residential guest. How do you
At
have
this
a
point, probably so.
Yeah. Therapist, doctor, I'm going to keep saying doctor, Erin Boone. And
You
she is
keep
not
speaking
misrepresenting
that over
herself.
my life.
I know she is not misrepresenting herself. I am speaking that into her existence. Let me see if I want to. No, what do you think about that? It looks too close. What do you think?
Not to me. I mean, it probably points out all of the
Okay, we'll go back. There we go. Yes. Okay. So, Erin, welcome again. And we are a few minutes late. That is all my fault because at the last minute, after testing everything out, I decided that my streaming was a little slow and delayed. So I rebooted my laptop. So yes, we're starting a few minutes late. Charge it to me, not to Erin. But Erin, how was your day?
I'm sorry, I was just cleaning my camera.
You're
We just
fine. Oh, that's so much
okay.
better.
Is
That's
it
really, yes, that's a lot
okay?
clearer.
Okay.
How was your Thursday?
It was a thrilling Thursday.
Thrilling Thursday. Okay, that's good.
I am claiming positive energy. No, I have a lot of kind of moving parts and balls that I'm juggling. And so I am glad that I made it to 7:07 p.m. on October 21st. So I will go that way with it.
That is positive speaking. I love that. As opposed to the alternative, because either one of us could not be here, right?
One day I'm gonna just get so cute like you. I am just gonna, have enough time to put myself together, you know.
Well, we are not going to share where we live, but we just found out that we live near each other.
I know.
So,
Maybe
so
we
what?
can do it live one day.
Yeah, we could do one together.
Yeah.
But um so guys, as you can see, this is going to be a really relaxed, laid back live. We had another video, well, live scheduled for last week, but there were some last minute emergencies, not even last minute. There were some unforeseen emergencies. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in the future. And I'll just give people a snapshot of what I would really like to talk about without going too deep. So I am 49 years young, but I didn't know about a brother. I was raised as an only child for a very long time. Found out about a brother when I was about 12, was given very limited information. Speeding ahead, never knew him, never saw him. He was placed in the adoption system and he was adopted as a baby. He found me on Facebook when he was 39 years old and I was 41. And since then, we've been kind of hit or miss. We've had a relationship. It's been turbulent. It's it's been peaceful. It's been beautiful. It's been wonderful. Then it's been turbulent. Then it's been, misunderstandings here and there. And I think we both were realizing quickly that we were hitting these brick walls and both desiring to be in each other's lives because we are related by blood. And I always had that desire for someone to see me in my family. So we had a conversation. I was like, hey, I have this live interview with this awesome and amazing and incredible therapist. What do you think about us kind of getting naked? Not literally, figuratively, y'all. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but getting naked and just putting this out there, because what I have not seen in all of these social media streets, I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about the siblings in an adoption, like how it affects the child that's kept and how it affects the child that is given away. And then how do they reconcile? How do they have a relationship when they haven't been raised around each other for almost 4 decades? So I wanted to, kind of go through it live on air and it would not only help individuals who have similar stories, but also probably bring reconciliation to siblings, period, that have estranged relationships or they're just not as close as they want to be. So I still desire to have that show.
Hopefully, we will be able to
Yes. So
really soon.
y'all heard Erin. She's open. She was like, when I asked her, because I was like, oh my gosh, would she even want to do this? She was like, absolutely. I said, oh my gosh, thank you. So we'll do it, but my brother was not available today, so that's why he's not here today, and that's why we've shifted the topic. So tonight's topic is, I don't know if y'all remember Martin, but it was an episode. This comes from an old song. It was an episode with he and Hustle Man, and Hustle Man was doing this little playing his little kazoo. Pick up the pieces. Oh my gosh. So that's what I was thinking about. I was like, what can we talk about? And that clip came into my head. Like, there are so many people who are starting over, who are launching out into uncharted territory, branching out into these fields they know nothing about, but they dreamed about doing it as a child. So I thought this was a great opportunity for Erin and I to discuss, how do we pick up the pieces? Like, how do we start over? In COVID world, how do we start over? In the regular world, which I don't know that we'll ever have a regular world post COVID, but how do we start over? Like, so Erin, I'm going to just let you flow, whatever, however you want to start. If not, even if, okay, I'm your subject matter. As you know, I resigned from my job that I was there for 5 years, I think. And I resigned without a replacement role, without another job. I've been working on and off for about 32 years of my 49-year life. And I'm used to working corporate America or some kind of job where I'm traveling downtown or traveling to a big city in another state. I'm always working. So now I'm not. We kind of talked about this a little bit when I first resigned after our first show. But what would you say for the person changing their life, making a job change? We'll start there. What would you say their first thing? What's the first thing they need to do?
Well, considering that you and I are in a very similar boat with kind of taking that leap into working for ourselves full time,
Hmm.
the first thing that's really needed is a moment,
Hmm.
a moment to decompress, a moment to wrap your head around the decision that you've made, this
Hmm.
leap of faith that you're taking, a moment to be scared, a moment to be excited, and just to kind of take that time to transition from one period to the next.
Hmm. Wow.
Because it's a shift, it's a change, and you feel it. And most people feel like, oh, I just have to keep going, 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 pushing, pushing, pushing. Because what happens if you stop? But actually, once you stop, it can offer a lot of clarity and an opportunity for you to be very proud of yourself, of the risk that you're taking, because it is a huge risk.
So it's been 3 months since I last worked at that job. And you said take a moment. How long should that moment be? Because and I'm going to ask you this question, and there is a follow-up question now. Audience, this is all off the cuff. I didn't send any questions to Erin before this show. So she is going off the top of the dome. Okay. So give her a moment. If it takes her a moment, she's so amazing. It probably won't. But how do you know how long the moment should last?
You don't.
Mm, wow. So what if this is the follow-up question? How do you determine when it's a moment and when you've fallen into the pit of complacency or fear? Mhm.
I I don't know. And I rarely say that, right? Because I don't know what it looks like for each individual person. And
Mm.
so I think the fear is always there, and you just have to be scared and do it anyway. And I
Mhm.
think that recognizing that complacency is an option, but obviously if you're making such a huge change, that indicates that you were aware that that might have been happening for you and you wanted to do something different. So when I say I don't know, I
Mhm.
think that that means there is no right or wrong time frame for anyone when they choose to make this choice. I
Mhm.
was just having a conversation with a former colleague earlier, and we were talking about how she felt like she was ready to transition into something else. And she's like, I almost walked off the job today because I just can't do this anymore. And I
Wow.
told her that she has to pick a number, she has to plan, and she has to execute.
Okay, wait, when you say pick a number, what does that mean?
So a number would be either the dollar amount that you would be comfortable having access to, either in the bank, under the mattress, wherever, right?
Mhm.
And or a salary that you would be willing to accept in order to walk away from the position that you're in right now. Because for some people it's not about stepping out on their own. It may be a lateral move just to get out of the toxic environment that they're in. It
Mhm.
may be having to take that salary cut temporarily if it's going to offer growth
Or peace.
or peace.
Mhm.
So it looks different for everyone, right? And let me make sure. I'm actually going to pull it up because we were texting and I want
Okay.
to quote myself correctly.
Please. I love this.
So let me see. So I told her pick her number, pick her date, and plan. So I had it right, right?
Okay. You
And
said pick a number, plan, and execute. So execute is the date. Same
yeah,
difference, right? Yeah.
yep. So when you pick your number, that's
Mhm.
the money or the salary.
Mhm.
When you pick your date, that's your expiration date for when you will leave, right? The absolute drop dead date
Mhm.
of by this time, I'm going to make a decision and have executed one way or the other.
Mhm.
And then planning is what you need to execute to get you the peace that you need to be good with your decision.
Mm.
For some people, that might look like 2 or 3 weeks. That might look as simple as a 2 week notice tomorrow. For other
Mhm.
people, it may look like 6 months.
Mhm.
But either way, once you become resolute about the choices and the decisions that you're making, it just takes putting it into plan and don't talk yourself out of it.
Whew, yes, yes, that's really good advice because we do have a way of I always tell people like when, I'm a Christian and all that, but when people talk about hearing the voice of God, and it took me a while to get this. We want to make it all deep like you're hearing an audible voice, and sometimes people have those experiences with God where they do. But often in our day-to-day relationship with God, it's the still small voice inside of us. And it's always the first voice. And I'm not talking about the first voice when you're enraged in the heat of anger and it's like you just want to curse somebody out. I'm talking about when you're away from the environment and you're like, you know what? I need to really, really create a plan. And that first thing that comes up in your gut, that gut intuition, that's generally the voice of God. And then the second voice is the one that you're talking about, that you're referring to, that talks us out of it,
Mhm.
right? It's that one that says, no, the first voice says, quit on this day. And it doesn't justify or validate why it's saying this date. It just comes up in your spirit. That second voice is like, no, don't do that because what about this and what about that? And it's very loud and it's really convincing if you stop and give it place and listen to it. And you will end up talking yourself out of it. So that's really good advice and something that I've learned in my almost 5 decades, that the more, and it doesn't mean that you step off the ledge without using wisdom. I literally just had this conversation this week with someone very close to me. Like, there's a difference between faith and foolishness.
Mm.
There is quite a difference. If and when I was a single mom and my daughter relied and depended on me, I didn't have the luxury of faith by just quitting jobs.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I'm tired of this place. I quit." Okay, how's she gonna eat?
Yeah.
Because the government wouldn't give me anything. So, how's she gonna eat? How are we gonna be housed? Like, all of these things, and, oftentimes, especially in this day, and this is gonna lead to my next question. In this day, so many people are entrepreneurs. Everywhere you look, How would you say that a person can determine whether it's time for them to be an entrepreneur, whether they're called to be an entrepreneur, or if it's just the pressures of what I call comparationitis, comparing yourself to someone else? That's my homemade word. Like, everyone else is doing it. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not walking in faith enough. Maybe I don't believe in myself enough. Should I own my own business? Maybe I should quit like everyone else. How do you determine when it's really something that's for you as opposed to when it's just keeping up with the Joneses?
I mean, let's face it, this society that we live in today with so many social media platforms, that kind of instant gratification,
Mhm.
that kind of the 24-hour news cycle, like it's designed to force us to constantly compare ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And so one of my favorite quotes is, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
And it's so true, because I could be feeling great about myself and then log on, flip on, turn on, even walk out the door and just be like, this is every single way that I don't measure up to this person, that person, and that person. But I don't
Mhm.
know what's happening with them. I just
Mhm.
know what is on the outside looking in. And there are people out there who will also compare themselves to me and feel like
Mhm.
they don't measure up in certain ways. So
Mhm.
entrepreneurship is not for everyone,
Mhm.
and that is okay,
Mhm.
because there would not be entrepreneurs without those team members, those employees, those people who are dedicated to the job and the work that they do, and they feel very tied to that. They feel very fulfilled by that. So please, please, please do not beat yourself up or think that you are less than if you are not an entrepreneur, right? I had a talk with one of my team members a long time ago, but basically, I wanted to know what their professional aspirations were, right?
Mhm.
And so one guy was really candid and he was like, I don't want to be in management. I
Mm.
don't want to be in leadership. I like to come to work, do my job, leave and go home. I don't
Mhm.
want to take any of this with me. 8 to 4 is fine. I like having my weekends and my evenings to myself. And I
Mhm.
felt him.
Mhm.
It's nothing wrong with being a quote unquote worker bee, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think as long as you're finding fulfillment, and it's when you no longer feel fulfilled, it's when you no longer have a mission, or you no longer feel that this is serving you anymore, that's when it's
Mhm.
time to recognize those as signs for change.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. A mission and fulfillment when you feel like you've lost your mission and you're not being fulfilled. That's really good. I need to type that in the comments and I will. So, with so many people going through COVID and some people actually lost their jobs, we've talked about starting. What would you say is the key to not giving up? Because it's gonna be hard when you start something new. I can attest to that, even starting what I'm starting, and I'm still not ready to share it globally yet, but I've found that, well, I'll share it, it's no big deal. I am actually diving into, being a voiceover artist. I know, I know. Um, and
I
it's something.
love that for you.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, I still want to be a speaker. And I think there's so many things that are like all encompassing in the voiceover industry. And it's, it's honestly like when I talk about purpose and I say purpose is not just one thing because people think, oh, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? It's one thing. I'm supposed to be a doctor. No, purpose is the overarching theme of your life. What are you? What are you everywhere you go? Like everywhere that you show up in your family, with your friends, if people had to describe you, what would they all say and what would be that unifying thread that everyone describes you the same way? And to me, that's your purpose. And you take that wherever you go and whatever you do. If you're a singer, if you're a person that you bring calm and you bring peace to every situation, well, when you sing, you're going to bring calm and peace to the audience. It's going to be that same overarching theme so that it's not one thing and we can only do one thing for the rest of our lives. But in saying that, like with the voiceover artistry, it's still speaking and using my voice, right? And because I'm a certified coach and I'm also a speaker, now this voiceover artistry thing, it's still using my voice to speak life. I won't be doing sex books, right? I'm still going to be speaking life and pouring into people with words, even if it's in ads and radio ads or commercials or whatever, or um the telephone, literally the telephone, what is that called? I can't think right now because I am sleepy. But the recording, the out of
Oh,
office recording.
the automated
Yes, the automated
whispering.
system
Yep.
recording. I've actually done that before. I've actually been the voice of God at a company that hosted an annual conference of 12 to 16,000 people annually. I was the voice of God for their conference. I've done so many different things where God was trying to show me, girl, use your voice. Like,
You
what
have
are
a
you
very
doing?
soothing, calming voice. I think that's perfect for you as
Thank you.
another avenue and another string.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, okay, I thought I saw another comment. That was actually my comment. But all of it will be tied together. But as I have researched and I'm taking my time because it has been 3 months and I'm researching, girl, I've been building stuff in here. Like I've built with my own hands. I have built a vocal booth. I really want, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get this whisper room, but not right now. That's later down the line. But I built a vocal booth. I've had to do all this research. I've taken these courses and all of these things to sharpen what God has already given me as a gift. And I'm finally in agreement with Him. Like, okay, I can do this. And I'm also seeing that it's really easy to talk yourself out of something.
Mm.
So I gave a lot of, foundation for my question. How do you not talk yourself out of it when there are going to be challenges that you face, when there are going to be things that scare you because it's new?
Yeah.
How do you pick up the pieces and not be so afraid that you just retreat back to that bad relationship? You left that abusive husband now because you're afraid. You're safe. You had your exit plan and did all these things. How do you not go back when he finds you and calls you and I'm so sorry and I'll never do it again, as they always do, right? How do you tell that old supervisor, no, I'm not coming back, when they call you and say, hey, any chance you can come back? How do you, when you see that, man, this is going to take time and energy and effort and I'm afraid, can I do this?
Yeah. As I was hearing you, I actually thought about a story that connected to that, my own personal experience. But
Okay.
um, I think the answer to that is to take a moment to consider the alternative.
Mm,
What is the alternative to making this change, taking this step, right? Because you recognize there's a reason that you want to do it. So, what is the alternative if you don't do it? More
mm,
of the same things, feeling more stressful.
yeah.
That supervisor continuing to take advantage of the work that you do without showing any type of appreciation for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Overworking you and not being considerate of your time.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship, that abusive relationship, or that relationship where you felt like you were settling, or we don't understand what monogamy means, or whatever that means to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Them continuing to do it,
Yeah.
or them becoming so excessive with it that it puts you at risk, or your health at risk, or your children at risk, right? What is the alternative? What's
Hmm.
the alternative if you actually do it and things go well?
Yeah.
Or if you actually do it and it doesn't work out the way that you thought it might, but at least now you have a point of comparison. You
Mm-hmm.
can weigh the risks.
Mm-hmm.
You can weigh if it's worth it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's going to always boil down to what's the alternative. When I hear those two different voices, when I heard that whisper, that is my intuition, that is God talking to me ever so subtly. And then I hear this really loud voice of doubt, which is telling
Mm-hmm.
me don't, right? Because doubt means don't most of the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
What is the alternative? If I
Yeah.
always listen to this voice that's making me talk myself out of it, what
Mm.
happens if this time I silence that voice and listen with the one telling me to go ahead and do it.
Mm. What is the alternative if you go back? Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
That's good.
alternative?
That's really good. Um, you may notice my energy is a little different. It's been an interesting few weeks, months. I've had time to think about things that I wasn't thinking about or considering because I was always so busy. Now I'm, controlling my own schedule. How do you stay motivated? And I know these are similar questions, but in the midst, okay, I'm not ready to give up, right? I am nowhere near ready to give up. That's not even an option. But staying motivated to stay the course, like, okay, if you've given yourself 3 months, by in 3 months, I want to accomplish this and check that off of the list. How do you do that mentally? What tools or tricks do you have as a therapist that can help someone mentally to stay the course, to not get lazy, lackadaisical? Oh, well, I'm just gonna, since I'm off anyway, I can catch up on some soap operas.
It's I laugh and I smirked and then I muffled a yawn. So please excuse me. That was not at you.
I didn't
Again,
even see you, girl. I'm looking at the camera, not at my laptop.
a very long day. And I need to practice. You're going to teach me all of these tips, right? Because I know nothing about this. That's a whole nother conversation offline.
Okay.
But nonetheless,
Hmm.
um, I smirk because I really feel like, Michelle, are you looking through my window right now? Like you are looking into my life, right? It's hard. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit here and sugarcoat it and make it seem like it's not hard, it's not challenging, it's not exhausting, right?
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
sure somebody is out there like, wow, you're really making a case for entrepreneurship, right? But the flip side to that is it is my own time.
Yes.
It's structuring it in a way that I get to do what it is that I want to do. And
Hmm.
here's the funny part. Out of all of my networking and connections and friend groups and professional groups and social circles and whatever else, right?
Hmm.
Family members, whatever, clients, I've not yet encountered the person who had a desire to do more who actually ended up doing less.
You've never encountered someone who had the desire to do more, actually do less.
I've who
Is that what you
desired
said?
to do more who
Uh-huh.
actually ended up doing less because I
Yeah, yeah.
heard you say, oh, I have this time on my hands now. Why don't I catch up on this show? I've not
Mhm.
met that person yet.
Mm.
To your point, you've been off 3 months, and I bet you there are things that you are on a list somewhere or in your mind or on your DVR or on your Netflix watch list or whatever that you're like, I'm going to get around to that. I'm sorry to tell you, you rarely get around to it. You think that it will give you more time to be leisurely, and
Mhm.
it's the exact opposite. There is this kind of sudden recharge or fuel that you're filled with where it's like, now I have my time to myself. So I got to do this, and this. It's
Mhm.
all of these opportunities that you now see. I always wanted to do that, or this is
Yeah.
linked to this, or let me go back and get another certification, or
Mhm.
maybe see what it's like to expand my reach and
Yeah.
my breadth so
Mhm.
that I'm more marketable. Or, hey, well, I did this for this many years, so perhaps I could consult here while working on this. So it really does afford the space
Yeah.
in your energy, maybe not in your schedule as much, but
Mhm.
in your energy to explore other things. So that's what I mean by I've never had met yet the
Mm.
person who had a desire to do more and stepped out on that faith and who actually ended up doing less. Never.
Wow. Wow. That's good. That's good. I'll leave it at that. I have found that I judge myself more harshly being not working for someone than I did when I worked for someone, because now it's like, did I do enough today? Oh my gosh, was I productive? Is anyone wondering? Is she just at home watching? So I don't watch soap operas, but I just like using that as an example. But is
Yeah.
she just at home sitting doing nothing? And no one's thinking about that. My
Mhm.
husband is not coming home like, "What did you do today? Were you productive?" He's not asking those questions merely because he knows me, but second, because people see me as a responsible person and they know that I have this dream and this vision. And I've called this my year of discovery, right? Before I turned 50, just having that year, it's not a complete year, but it's almost a year of really figuring it out, right? So that I can bump my head if I need to figure it out, because the way that we learn is by making mistakes, right? Learning what not to do, so we know, oh, we don't want to do that, so we should probably do this. um what would you say? This is so, I didn't write down any questions at all. I didn't send you any, and I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, thinking about my own journey right now. How would you say, and when I ask this question, I mean something, an exercise, because you're really keen with different exercises.
Mhm.
What kind of exercise can you suggest to someone who's trying to keep their focus? And that's really me stating the last question, but really something tangible that they can do, whatever that is, um, to keep their focus, to maybe not judge themselves so harshly, to understand that it's a process and it's a learning and there's room for growth and error and figuring it out. What can they do? And I'll just say this before I even ask you the question. For me, it is about speaking back to the doubt, literally audibly speaking back,
Mhm.
like, oh no, I heard what I thought, because my thoughts in my mind are different, but I heard that thought, I captured that thought. Now I'm going to speak what is contrary to that thought, that is productive and that is positive to that thought. So that's my exercise. That's what I do. What else could you volunteer or offer up to someone who's they're in the throes of it, like they've jumped, they left, they changed, they, started over, and now how can they stay focused? How can they keep their momentum?
So interestingly enough, I had a conversation. Again, I've been talking a lot. Either this was aligned and our conversation was supposed to happen, which is why I
Yeah,
have so many points of reference this
yeah.
week. But two things. One, I would challenge that person to reflect on what do they value more, their time or their money.
Okay.
And the second thing would be sometimes we have to accept that our motivation and our momentum just don't match right now.
Mm,
And that's okay.
mm,
We may have a desire to do several things, but if we don't have the space or the time or the energy, or we don't have the desire we hope to have, right?
mhm,
That is okay, because that's an indicator that you need to take a moment. Take
mm,
that moment.
mhm,
Tune in with yourself, listen to yourself. If your body is saying, I'm exhausted, I need to take a second, I need to chill, I need to take a beat. Listen to your body. You can't keep going, going, going and expect that momentum to stay where it was when you started. Maybe
mm,
you're so excited that there are so many things that you want to do, like I just spoke about before, that
mhm.
you run out of steam. And
Yeah.
so you have to take that moment, sleep, take a hot shower,
Can you say
go
the first one again, please?
sleep,
One more
sleep,
time.
and sleep, right?
Yes, girl, I
I
needed you to
can I
speak
can
that into my
understand.
spirit.
I mean, and I get it, right? You don't wanna miss anything, you don't wanna feel like you're falling behind on anything, but
Mhm.
you can't offer anything to anyone when you're on E, when you're and I think we've discussed this before. If
Yes.
your laptop, your iPad, tablet, your phone, if these devices were dying, what do? You charge them, right?
Yeah.
Sleep is how you recharge.
Yes.
I cannot tell you how many things that I have gone to sleep stressed about, that I woke up the next morning just because I was able to have a full night's sleep,
Yeah.
and I felt more focused,
Yeah.
that I was able to now prioritize what I could do first. Because here's the thing, you can only pick one struggle.
I love that.
You can't put things out like, you can't put all the fires out at once. It's one
Yeah.
struggle at a time.
Yes.
But if you have focus and you have clarity and you are rested, you tend to see things a little differently.
Mhm.
The answer might be right in front of you, but you can't see it if you got one eye open and one eye shut.
Whew. Girl, where are you when it's 3 a.m. and I'm still awake?
I'm look, let me tell
And
you,
my thoughts are racing.
shut it down.
I know, I know, I know.
Shut it all down.
Mhm. That's when we're done, I hope we have about 5 minutes to wrap up after this when we're off live, because that is something, a topic that I do not want to talk about just yet on live, but I do want to share with you what is keeping me up at night, actually. But yeah, that's good. You can only pick one struggle at a time. I love that.
Only
I
one struggle. And again, what do you value more, your time or your money?
Yeah,
And I say that because there are some people who value money,
true.
right?
True.
So that means that I don't care. I don't need any sleep. I don't need to do this. As long as that money is coming in, I'm good, right?
Mhm.
There are people, much like myself, who value their time.
Yes.
I cannot do anything if I don't create a space and time for myself.
Mhm.
I cannot do anything if I am not in control of what my schedule looks like, right?
Mhm.
I did that. I'm counting, right? So for at least 24 years,
Mm.
for me,
Mhm.
I worked for someone else.
Mhm.
I let them create my schedule, I let them
Yeah.
control my money, and it never felt quite right. I mean, it was cool
Mhm.
for a while, but
Mhm.
it just never felt quite right.
Yeah.
I value my time because here's the thing. If I have control and autonomy over my time,
Mhm.
I can create multiple streams of income to make up
Mhm.
for that guaranteed money that I was operating as a slave to before.
Yeah.
I can educate myself, I can learn new things, I can surround myself with the right people, I can
Mhm.
put myself in a position to be upwardly mobile, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if I don't have my time to be able to figure those things out, then none of that is going to matter. So, what do you value more, your
Mhm.
time or your money?
I love that. And in addition to, not even in addition, just calling out a few more points within your points, you said number two is accept that motivation and momentum don't match sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah,
That you may have the motivation, but not the speed you want, the momentum in that thing, and that is okay. Basically saying, that some things are seasonal, like you may and be in the season where things are fruitful, but you're exhausted. You need rest.
absolutely.
You might be making money in your sleep, but you might not be, and you may still need to be sleeping. You may need to recover and replenish during that time of sleeping. I had a pretty good night's sleep last night, and I was very intentional about it. Um, but it does take intentionality. It takes you deciding, I'm going to rest and recover and replenish this body before I retire permanently.
I am
Like,
going to unplug. I am going to turn all the screens off, put all the
yes.
screens down.
Mhm.
I have people laugh at me, right? But I have sleepy time tea. It works for me. It may not work for everybody, but
I tried it, it doesn't work for me, but
it's calming yourself enough, right? That intentionality. What
yeah.
do it look like? Do I need to take a hot shower? Do I need to
Mhm.
drink my sleepy time tea? Does melatonin work? For some people,
Mhm.
CBD works, right? Like
Mhm.
just figuring out what is the right recipe for you
Yeah.
to create that space.
Mhm.
And then even if you don't fall asleep, if you're rested enough and you're relaxed enough,
Mhm.
you can just lay there.
Mhm.
Do you read? Do you
Yeah.
read the old fashioned turn the page
I need a
book
hard
and
copy book,
magazine?
yes. I need hard copy.
You get
Absolutely.
the white noise machine, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever it looks like for you, whatever you need to calm yourself. Because there's a difference between certain types of stress, right?
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
distress,
Mhm.
which is where you're very anxious, things feel like they're out of your control, you don't know what's going to happen next, and it heightens that kind of natural instinct for fight or flight, right? Because you're trying to brace yourself. And
Mhm.
then there is eustress.
What is that?
Eustress, Eustress.
Never heard of it. Okay,
That's
good. What
the
is
good
that?
stress.
Hmm.
That's that stress where you do feel motivated. That's that stressors where you do have your momentum, where you're feeling very charged up, where you have so much adrenaline running through you because you're excited about what it is that you have to get done, or you feel passionate and that passion is fueling you, right?
Wow. Okay.
But it still causes they mimic each other because
Mm.
a good kind of stress can still make you feel like you're kind of all over the place. You know, you
Mhm.
have that kind of anxious feeling. It's very different though.
Mm.
And so the distress may be what's causing you to stay up at night,
Yeah.
what's causing you not to have a restful sleep. Maybe
Mhm.
your restful sleep looks like 4 hours. I know people who can, man,
Unfortunately, it does.
sleeping down in those 4 hours. I mean, you would have thought they would sleep for 10 hours as
That's
how
me.
rested they are,
Yeah.
right? So maybe
Yeah.
it's not a full night for you, but maybe
Mhm.
it's more about the type of sleep that you get in that 4-hour window.
Mhm. That's
So
good.
it really just it depends, right? So which type of stress would you prefer to function under? Because stress
Mhm.
is always present.
Yes.
Anytime
Very true.
there are demands, goals, deadlines, other people depending on you, you depending on yourself, right? That stress is ever present,
Mhm.
but operating under which type makes the difference.
Very true. That's good. That is very good. Okay. Hmm. You said something, but then I was like, Michelle, you need to listen more intently because I thought about another question, but then I started really, really leaning in and forgot the question. So that was some real active listening. Um,
It
okay.
happens.
So we are talking about picking up the pieces. How do you, yes, this is a great one because often when you I'm thinking and just thinking about different situations and different conversations, and I'm surrounded by people who are challenging themselves to live higher. And when I say higher, I don't mean that it's higher than anyone else, merely higher than they've been living,
Mhm.
challenging themselves to do more, more of what they felt led and called to do all their lives, but have been afraid. So, how do you determine? This is coming off of the heels of a conversation I had with a dear friend of mine today. I shared with her, she was sharing a story about one of her friends, and her friend was sharing her business with one of her friends. Long story short, sharing your business, me even sharing, hey, I'm about to start doing voiceovers. And now people with their judgments or voiceovers, maybe you shouldn't, or have you thought about, or what about this? Or are you going to stop that? But aren't you a coach? Are you going to stop speaking? How do you clear the voices? How do you prevent the voices or ignore the voices and the input? And sometimes people think they're being helpful. They think they're, giving you good advice, the advice that was unsolicited that you didn't ask for.
Yeah.
How do you stand in your decision, resolute in your decision, and not start to alienate people and or yourself? Because it's easy for me to put people in their place. I mean, this tongue is sharp, girl, and it's quick. But because I'm living better, higher, more like I'm supposed to as a Christian, I try my best to exercise patience more and grace more. So how do you stand resolute without telling people mind their business?
So I'm going to answer your question with a question, right?
Okay.
There is a reason twice tonight in our
Uh-huh,
conversation
uh-huh.
that you kind of made the disclaimer that it was there were things going on with you
Mhm,
you weren't quite ready to share yet.
Mhm.
It's your choice if you decide to share, right? Which one of
Mhm.
them you did. The other one you said you would prefer to talk offline, right? So
Yes.
what made you say that?
That is an amazing question. I love that. So, it kind of I'm so excited about that because it literally speaks to my response to my friend today. I said, as adults, we have to use discernment and determine when we are ready for feedback and when we're not. If I'm not ready for anyone's opinion, I don't want their judgment, I'm not going to tell them.
Hmm.
If I am strong in my decision and nothing and no one can stop me from branching off into being a voiceover actor or artist or whatever you want to call it, if nothing will stop me, I can share it because I know nothing's going to stop me. And I don't care about anyone's judgment, and nothing anyone says or thinks is going to deter me from my destination. Only I will do that, right? So in the other one, and when I share it with you, you'll probably be like, okay, I get that. But in the other situation, this is something where someone's input could affect some things. Um, I don't want to hear anybody's input in the way that in this other situation, and I'm trying to filter through what that other situation is. In the other situation, I haven't overcome it yet. I'm still in the throes of it. This
Yeah.
voiceover thing, I've put in so much. I am ready to start. I am working on a website right now. I've created this vocal booth. I've taken the courses and constantly training and learning new stuff. But also, I'm sure about this. This other thing is kind of in the air. There's some angst around it. I'm unsure about some things. There's some fear surrounding it. So I don't want to open that up to just any and everybody.
Mhm.
Did that answer the question?
It did, and I
Okay.
wonder if it answered your own question, right? Because that's the thing. It's not only is it discernment, right?
Mhm.
It is protecting your peace.
Mhm.
When you know that you may be struggling with something or something is new
Mhm.
or you're not quite ready to share it with the world yet, you don't
Mhm.
have to.
Yeah.
It is your choice
Mhm.
whether you allow someone in. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you're kind of on the fence like, "Oh, I don't know if I should talk to them about this. I don't know if I
Yeah.
should do this." And then you go against your first mind and you tell them and they do exactly what you knew that they were gonna do, and you're like, "Why did I even say anything?" Right?
Mhm.
You have to be careful of the seeds people attempt to sow.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm not saying that they're all bad people and that they
Mhm.
have, nefarious motives or
Mhm.
they are just malicious, but depending on where someone is in their life, you can only be so happy for someone else if your own stuff is uncertain.
Yeah.
And that's just because you're human. I've done it.
Mhm.
Right? There are a lot of conversations where we could have where, I was happy that things were happening for other people, but
Mhm.
as in certain times of my life where I was in an uncertain space,
Mhm.
I can only be so happy for them. There was like a cap
Yeah.
where I hit it and then it was just like, okay, and so what's the next step beyond that? Either
Mhm.
you shut down, where some
Mhm.
people say, people start to hate or
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? But that's because
Mhm.
I'm dealing with my own stuff. So if you want to protect your peace around your planning
Mhm.
or your endeavors in life, you
Mhm.
have the option to keep it to yourself until you are ready to share it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is 100% the difference. I hadn't shared because I want to do this whole announcement and sharing my website and all that. But the reality is, there's no danger in me sharing it because I am resolute in that this is my plan.
Yeah.
So I don't care what anyone says about it. I don't need their feedback. It doesn't matter to me. But that other thing, again, I can't leave space for someone to say something off to me in that
Mhm.
space. And well, again, when I share it with you, you'll understand why. But yeah, no, that was good. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Okay. So I don't know if I can think of anything else. I can't believe it's 7:54. 4 already? Wow. I don't know if that I can think of anything else, but I'll just leave the last few minutes to you to share anything about any kind of good nuggets for individuals starting over, picking up the pieces in their life. I still see that episode in my head.
That's hilarious.
Um, but but anyone picking up the pieces, whatever you have, this is your time to just share with people based on your experience, but also based on your expertise.
I mean, I think that a lot of the dialogue that we've already had touched on a number of those pieces, but whatever people's takeaways are, that's because that feels specific to you,
Yeah.
right? And so again, just patience and peace and grace, the same patience and peace and grace that you would extend to others,
Hmm.
extend that to yourself. When you're ready, you'll know you're ready to make whatever change, to execute whatever change. And that's timeline is between you and your higher power.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's ever going to be a perfect time to do it. The same way people say, there's never any real perfect time for children, right?
Hmm.
But this is a version of your baby, whatever this change looks like.
Yeah.
And when it's time, it will happen for you.
Yeah. That is good. So, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on the replay, please put your comments in the comment section. I'll still go back and comment and respond and all that. I hope you have gathered some nuggets from this broadcast. And if you are in the amidst picking up the pieces, you're in the middle of change, you're about to step off the curb or the ledge, make sure that it's something that you want to do. Erin has referred to everyone's journey being specific to them. Make sure that you're not being led by society and their rules or the lure of social media. Make sure that if it's entrepreneurship that you're leaning into, that you're really called to do it, that you're not making unwise decisions to keep up with the Joneses. If you are struggling, as we do know, this is Domestic Violence Month. If you are in a relationship that is violent on any level, make sure that you have a plan, make sure that you reach out to someone, and that you execute to safety for you, if you have children or don't have children, but that you are safe, that you are making yourself a priority. um I do want to end with this. Tomorrow is October 22nd, so I will be live a few times during the day, because every year in October, and I didn't realize this until a few years ago, every year in October I would get really, really depressed, and I had no clue what it was, Aaron. I thought I looked up, like, about 15 years ago, I started looking up, what's going on with me in October, in the fall. And I found out about 15 years ago what seasonal affective,
I
isn't
was
it,
gonna
depression?
say,
I
was
know,
it sad?
sad. And I was like, is that it? And I thought that was it for some years, until about 7 years ago, 5 to 7 years ago. I can't remember exactly. But God brought my attention, because then I started pinpointing the day. And it was more around October 20th that I was really getting depressed. And I'm like, wait, I don't suffer from this anymore. What's going on? And God brought it back to my memory, but only through me finding a discharge paper from the hospital of my last suicide attempt.
Oh,
It
wow.
was October 22nd, 2002.
Wow.
And our bodies remember. Nobody could have ever convinced me of that had I not gone through it myself.
Mhm.
My body was recalling this. It was remembering. And so instead of depression, I started about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago roughly. I started celebrating that time. Celebrating, and I call it my death to life experience. So tomorrow I will be sharing my death to life experience and some of the things I've learned in these 19 years post suicide attempt, and just it's a celebratory moment. The hubby and I have gone to the Shed Aquarium. We've done many things around that time. His birthday is the 23rd, the next day. But I will be sharing that. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. So when you see these videos and you're like, is she telling this story again? Yes, she is, because she is excited and so grateful and thankful to be alive. And someone out there right now is struggling with thoughts of suicide. And I'm here to tell you, it gets better. It gets easier. It will never be perfect, but it is doable. You can have the life you desire with a lot of work, a lot of prayer, and great community. You can. So, Aaron, I thank you. This has been productive and amazing as always. I'm so grateful for you. Hopefully, we'll see you next month. Wink, wink. I
Michelle,
know.
I just want to say that I am very grateful that our paths crossed because you're such an inspiration.
Mm,
And the fact that you are willing to be so candid about your experience, we need more people in this world who are willing to be candid about what they've been through and share their narrative and just be willing to be a safe space
yeah.
for others who may be going through something similar right now. So I'm very, very, very grateful for you. I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I'm also a little delayed because I just connected that out of my shell, your I was like, oh, that's cute how she kind of spells her name. And then I see your your little icon and it's so cute. It's like you in a shell and it's just it is. I love it.
I'm
So
coming out of my shell.
I
Girl, I
love
created a whole little theme song, and it's literally me singing. I'm coming out of my shell. I've been there too long. It's time to move on out of my shell.
I love that.
And that all came because of Taylor. And this, I don't know if you can
Oh,
see it. It's
Taylor.
a little shell necklace that she bought me years ago. And I was like, "Did you think about the fact that you bought me this shell necklace and my name's Michelle and I need to come out of my shell?" She's like, "Yes, I did know that." So that's where it all came from. It's
I
time.
love it.
And that's where the transparency comes from, because I thank you for everything you said. I heard it, I receive it, I appreciate you. And everything that I do, honestly, it's easy because it's what I needed someone else to do for me
Yeah.
that I didn't see. I didn't see anybody saying, "Girl, I get it." I was there. I was
Yeah.
hopeless. It gets better. It's going to be hard, some hard work. People weren't talking about it. So I started doing literally what I needed to see someone else do that I didn't see. So it's real simple. It's not even something that's a sacrifice for me. It's literally I go into that space of my need and I provide based on that. So, but I thank you that you see that and that you see the need for it and you see that there's value in it, because yeah, we need more people just being transparent, because the enemy beats us up in our silence, and he is empowered by convincing us that there's something wrong with us. And as soon as we open our mouths, we realize there is nothing unique to this struggle. There are so many people out here going through the same thing. And if I can be the light that gives someone hope, that hope that I didn't have, then my job on this earth is done. And when I retire, I can retire in peace knowing I did what I was commissioned to do on this earth. So I thank you, Erin, because you're always so amazing. And the fact that Erin does this is her business. She is a therapist, but she gives this hour every single month without any expectations. I appreciate you. Know that God
Thank you.
sees you and your work is valuable, and people need the confirmation and the wisdom that you have. They need it. They need to hear, and then they need to hear a therapist be a real person. That is a blessing, okay?
Yeah,
Because it's
'cause
some out here,
we struggle too,
but
believe
it's so many of them out here perpetrating a fraud, acting like they're above everything. And so we need to hear these real conversations that you're having with people, and that you've had some struggles that you've had to overcome, and you're on the journey too with us,
Yep,
because people are more, they're more susceptible to receive help from you if they can see you some, if they can see themselves in you somewhere.
yep,
Yeah. So I thank you and
agreed.
I appreciate you for your transparency on whatever level you present. Okay. So again, thank you everyone. Share this out if you think it would help someone. Erin, I appreciate you. Please hang around for just 4 more minutes and then I will let you go. And everyone have a great Thursday night. I'll see you guys a few times tomorrow. I'll be live, just pop
Good
ups. Good
night.
night, everyone.